Carousel of Life, Day 10, Puns. This is a Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction series written for Adrinette April 2019, following the daily prompt posted on Tumblr. Check the description box below for a link to the host blog as well as the previous chapters of this story. Or, if you want to listen from Chapter 1, click on the card in the upper right corner for the playlist. Well then, let's go for a ride on the Carousel of Life. Adrien never expected that puns, of all things, would cause him so much grief. "Looks like we're together on this assignment again, Marinette," Adrien said as he switched seats with Alia in literature class. This time, the pairs for the in-class activity had been arranged by Miss Bustier. "Maybe it's a sign," Marinette said with a wink, her chin resting on one hand as she gazed over at him with a sly smile. Yeah, a sign that he was doomed. For one thing, the expression she was making right now really made her look like Ladybug. For another, the way she acted around him seemed to have changed 180 degrees since they'd worked together on the cooking show project. Adrien never really understood why she always acted nervous around him, but he assumed it had something to do with his status. Though it wasn't something he cared about or was proud of, he wasn't ignorant of how intimidating his surname and easily recognizable face could be, especially to someone who was trying to break into the fashion industry. So he'd figured that was it. Maybe working together had revealed to Marinette that he wasn't actually as cool as she'd thought. Or maybe he'd managed to get on her nerves enough that she'd gotten over being intimidated. But Adrien preferred to think it was because they'd made some kind of breakthrough in their friendship, and were closer now. Whatever the reason was, she had started acting playful and cracking jokes around him, with barely a shadow remaining of her former shyness. Adrien couldn't deny it. He loved it. Having Marinette in on his game was putting him on a sort of giddy high that had his mind racing for the next thing to make her laugh. "We can outline the points for the introduction together, then split up the paragraphs," Marinette suggested. "What do you think?" They were supposed to be collaborating on an analysis essay of the short story they'd read for homework. "I think I regret leaving my coat at home," Adrien replied, acting nonchalant. He was testing the waters. Again. "Why? It's warm out." Marinette unlocked her tablet and pulled up the short story PDF. "By the end of the period, the classroom's gonna be filled with drafts." Adrien dropped the line with a smirk, watching Marinette's reaction out of the corner of his eye. He'd expect a groan, an eye roll, or a snide remark from Ladybug. This pun had been an especially lame one. Marinette, though? Her cheeks were a fetching shade of pink and her eyes twinkled as she retorted, quick as lightning. "Just be careful handling the draft." "Why?" Adrien asked eagerly, knowing she had a punchline ready. "I have a feeling it'll be rough." The two of them stifled giggles, earning a suspicious look from Alia. But despite how much he was enjoying this, Adrien had a sinking feeling in his gut. Because Ladybug never played along with his jokes. It wasn't enough to make Adrien completely dismiss the idea of Marinette being Ladybug, but it struck him as out of character enough to bring the chances down to 70%, maybe 60%. Of course, the recent drastic change in Marinette's behavior toward Adrien proved that there might be hidden depths to her character that he didn't know yet. Nonetheless, he thought he knew Ladybug. He could always predict her reactions. He'd assumed that if Marinette was Ladybug, the more natural she acted around Adrien, the more she'd act like Ladybug. As they worked together on the outline, Adrien felt increasingly more conflicted as he observed the way Marinette spoke with graceful hand gestures, and the way her eyes got wide enough to show her whole irises when she was excited by an idea. She was captivating, but she might not be Ladybug. "Adrien?" Adrien snapped out of his thoughts to realize Marinette was focused on him with a concerned gaze. "Huh?" "I was asking if you could think of any way to prove the third point. It seems too vague. Maybe we should change it. What do you think?" "Yeah, sure. Let's change it." Adrien could tell Marinette didn't really need his input. She already had a plan, and getting his approval was pretty much just a courtesy. Very Ladybug-like. Back up to 75%? She crossed out the third point she'd scribbled in her notes and hastily wrote something else, biting her lip in concentration. Adrien had noticed that was a habit of hers and was finding it more and more endearing. "You're doing that lip thing again," he teased. What? Never mind, Adrien muttered, ears burning when he realized he was about to admit he was watching her lips. Thank goodness she hadn't heard. As they worked together, Adrien dropped a couple more puns to see how Marinette would react. Maybe the first few times were just flukes, but each time she had a clever retort, seeming to enjoy the banter as much as he did. Alia's glares were also coming more and more frequently, and when Nino twisted slightly to pass Adrien a note, the feeling that he was in trouble only grew. The note, written in a bubbly, feminine hand, clearly wasn't from Nino. "Does this mean you're over Ladybug?" It read simply. As soon as he read the note, Adrien crumpled it and shoved it in his bag hastily so Marinette wouldn't see. Feeling harassed, he peeked at Alia, who was glancing at him over her shoulder with narrowed eyes. "Miss Bustier put us together," Adrien mouthed helplessly, gesturing at the teacher as Alia gave him a blasé look. "What was that?" Marinette looked up from her work, confused by the gesture and thinking he'd meant it for her. "Nothing," Adrien said, breaking eye contact with Alia. What did his feelings for Ladybug have to do with Marinette anyway? By the time the bell rang, signaling the end of the period and beginning of lunch break, Adrien felt like he was going crazy. He needed to just quit thinking about this. Feeling relieved to get a break from Marinette, he went straight to Nino and draped an arm around his shoulder. "Nino, help me," he said in an exaggeratedly haggard voice.
"What happened, dude?"
"I can't. This is... just... Can we go somewhere and get a soda or something?"
"Food?"
"Yeah, food sounds good." After buying gyros and sodas from a food stand near the school, the two boys went to the spot by the Seine that they frequented to just chill and talk.
"So, dude, what's up? Something going on between you and Marinette?"
Nino prompted. Subtlety was not his strong suit.
Nothing,"
Adrien groaned.
"So you dragged me out here for no reason?"
"I didn't drag you. You wanted gyros."
"Dude, you think I haven't noticed you two being all chummy today? Did something happen when you did that project together?"
Nino waggled his eyebrows suggestively. "No, Nino!" Adrien cried, horrified. "Nothing happened. I mean, not really. I guess. We got closer, maybe?"
"Closer?"
Nino's lip curled into a smirk. "Whatever you're thinking, that's not what happened," Adrien protested.
"So what's the deal?"
"I don't know, she's cool and fun to hang out with, I guess," Adrien admitted, feeling his cheeks heat up. "I mean, I knew that. Everyone knows that. But she just started acting more like herself around me, I guess." Yeah, that was it. He'd observed the way she was around other people. She was confident, cool, helpful, witty. It felt special to finally receive the same treatment as everyone else. Or was it the same? If she were Ladybug, he'd probably call it flirting. Adrien slumped down, putting his head in his hands. He couldn't even admit to Nino the real reason he was freaking out so much today.
"Hey, bro."
Adrien rocked sideways as Nino shoved his shoulder affectionately.
"If you're crushing on her, that's totally cool. Don't be ashamed."
Adrien wanted to say the only person he'd ever like was Ladybug, but that was the problem. He was becoming less convinced of it himself. And even if he wasn't having a crisis right now, it would still be better if Nino just forgot about the whole Ladybug thing altogether. So all he could do was mumble half-heartedly, "I'm not crushing on her."
"Dude, you're totally in denial. You look like a lovesick mess."
Well, he was a mess. That was for sure. Thankfully, he didn't have to talk to Marinette throughout afternoon classes, but he couldn't help but perk up every time he heard her say something to Alia, and had to fight the urge to turn around and see what she was doing whenever there was a break between activities. "The one I love is Ladybug," Adrien repeated in his mind, picturing her blue eyes that burned with cold fire, her sophisticated grace, the special smirk he only ever saw directed at him, her partner. He sighed, thinking about her, "My kitty," and "I trust him," and "Cat Noir and I are a team, unstoppable." He could feel his insides melting the more he thought about her. "If Marinette isn't Ladybug, she's just a classmate and a friend," he told himself. Yet, as the final class ended and she passed his desk, dropping a folded note with a faint smile, he caught her eye and his heart lurched in such a way that he could no longer say he was immune to Marinette. Whether she was Ladybug or not, she made his heart race and his breath catch. He pocketed the note as he left the classroom with Nino, only unfolding it once he was safe from prying eyes in the backseat of his car. "Pretty sure I landed the best partner today. You're a model student after all." Adrien traced the folds in the note with his fingertips as he read it several times. She surely hadn't meant it as anything meaningful, just light wordplay between friends. But the word partner... His mind strayed to Ladybug. And the pun, and the praise. It all went straight to his heart and left him feeling lightheaded. He put the note back in his pocket and collapsed weakly against the seat. Plag would surely give him a hard time as soon as they got home. Thank you for listening to Chapter 10 of Carousel of Life. If you liked it, show your support by leaving a like or a comment below. The next chapter is coming soon, so stay tuned and subscribe for updates. Until next time!